Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Awareness in Action. For those of you that know me, you know that I do not really interview a lot of people, and those that I do interview, I'm interested in them. They've got something to say, and it's more about them wanting to be more of a service in the world and a service to humanity. And I get requests all the time from coaches and people that want me to interview them and I know that it's just a lead generation system they're doing. I tend not to go down that route. But my guest today is someone who really likes to serve. He is passionate about serving others, and he's passionate about bringing something to humanity. And he's a bit of a hardcore badass as far as I know. And I seen this guy and I was like, he's also like a bit of a rocker and a heavy metal guy. And I can envisage him driving about in Harleys in the sunshine and giving not a shit in the world and getting on with it. And he is known as the No More Excuses coach, or the No Excuses coach. My guest today is none other than Christopher Rausch. Welcome to the house, Christopher.
What's up, brother? It's so great to be here. Thank you for having me on your show, man. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate the introduction, man.
Honestly, you're different to a lot of other coaches that I've seen out there, and people that approach me all the time, or people that I interact with and stuff. And I don't know a great deal about your story, but I know that you overcome a lot of things in your life, and you are just this guy that's like, no bullshit, no excuses is what you're all about. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are now.
Jeez. All right. You might have to stop me because sometimes I get on a roll. But anyway, about my story, my journey, let's see. There's so many different jumping off points. I mean, in a nutshell, really what it is, Jock, is I'm a former 7th grade homeless dropout who lived in the backseat of a station wagon with 18 cats and 2 dogs. I was homeless from the age of 13 to 17. I tried to commit suicide twice. Unfortunately, I sucked at it. I had a gun put to my head because I wouldn't buy a pack of cigarettes from a black guy. That's a story. And ultimately, I got to a point where I had to make a decision whether I was going to get out of a situation by either dying or by going to jail or standing up for myself and moving on with my own life. And that's really, in a nutshell, what my story is.
That's phenomenal. I had when I first connected with you, I thought that this guy's story's got to be different. And you don't often have people that have gone through the gamut like you have. So when you were young and you were homeless, how was that experience for you? Because obviously you're taking that experience now and you've turned it into something powerful. But how did you feel at that point? That point in your life when you were homeless, you had nothing to do. Did you feel worthless? Did you say you committed suicide, but you were crap at it, which is I'm glad you're a trap at it, brother, because
I sucked at it.
I'd be connecting with you on the other side. So yeah, how did you feel then? How were you homeless? What happened?
Well, here's the situation, Jock. My mother had various psychological disorders and chemical dependencies and an affinity for men. So my upbringing, even up before I was 13 years old, was one of a physical abuse, mental abuse, neglect. As far as feelings and emotions, up until I decided to take charge of my own life, my feelings and emotions were always about loneliness, not fitting in, not being smart, just basically being a very rectangular peg that tried to fit into any hole. It was really kind of sad. I had a half sister who has a different dad. She partially raised me when I was a baby, but as far as, the question of being homeless, I mean, that situation came about because my mom alienated everybody out of her life. Basically, she ran my sister out of her life. She ran her husband out of her life. And she could have ran me out of her life, but I decided to stick around and make sure that she was okay. I was like the little, I'm going to take care of my mom kind of guy, little kid. But ultimately, through that series, those 4 years of being homeless and out on the streets and in and out of motels, I slept in people's garages. I slept in an abandoned van in somebody's driveway. I was all over the place with my mom. She might've been in separate places sometimes, all along with the cats and everything else. I just felt alone, destitute, scared, but at the same time, there was some sort of liveliness in what it was we were doing. We were surviving. We were 2 nomads on the streets, trying to get by. We were out collecting cans and newspapers every single day. taking them to the recycling center just to see what money we had to buy cat food, dog food, cigarettes, beer, and then whatever was left over, we had food. So sometimes that was 29-cent hamburgers at the 29-cent hamburger stand. Sometimes it was just lunch meat. Sometimes it was just crackers. Sometimes if it was good, it was better. Sometimes we would go barbecue hot dogs in the park and try to be normal for a minute. But yeah, it was an insane time, and that's why I turned to drugs, alcohol, violence, and all sorts of other stuff.
No, that's I mean that's one hell of a story of that most people don't even there's a lot of people that will say, and I've met them, they'll tell their story about hardship, and for a fact that they really haven't had that hardship. I heard a story the other day about somebody who had a hardship, and he said I had no money and I had nothing and I couldn't eat, and so I bought a plane ticket to Los Angeles. I'm like, dude, you had money. What are you saying? Don't claim that you're absolutely destitute. You can't eat. You don't know where your next drink of water, your food's coming from. You just bought a freaking plane ticket to Los Angeles to go and get your dream. So you really did fight for survival.
Mm-hmm. Finding money. We were always looking for money on the parking lots. We were always looking down because we'd find quarters and nickels, and every once in a while we'd find a $5 bill. I remember one time we found a $20 bill. We were in Costa Mesa, California. We were going through a bowling alley parking lot on our bicycles, and we looked down and there was money. It was $20. We went inside the bowling alley. It was nice and cool. We had a couple of hot dogs. I think we had a drink, and for like in 45 minutes to an hour, I felt like a normal kid for a minute. And then I went back outside and got on my BMX bike with my 2 bags of cans, and we rode off, and it was just like we had this little splurge thing. But yeah, it was a dynamic time. I mean, there was a lot of different stuff that happened within there. I mean, my mom was raped while we were homeless. Yeah, there was a lot of different stuff that happened in between all those different events that I've already shared with you.
But do you know what? I listened to you in some of your lives that you did recently, because you've got your own shows, and I haven't listened to much of it, but one of the things I did capture is that, listening to you now just gives me this respect for you, because you have an enormous compassionate disposition, compassionate heart.
Thank you.
Because I heard you say in one of your shows that you look after your mother, or you were doing something for your mom, and that, obviously that shows something right there. But what was the jumping off point for you? Because most people just give up then, that as well as I do. And a lot of people turn to suicide. Now, I'm not want to go down to the dark path of, you did that, you're crap at it, and thank God that you're here. But what was the bit that said, hey, right, dude, we got to get together with this. We got to change. Something has got to give.
That is a great question. There was definitely a jumping off point. Like I mentioned before in the intro of what it was that I went through, there was a particular point in time after I tried to commit suicide twice. There was a point in time where I was just really destitute, and I didn't know what the heck was going to go on. I actually considered joining the military. I was 17 years old. I was not a fan of being told what to do.
I said, you remind me of my old sergeant when you were in the military.
Yeah, no, I had really super long hair. I didn't give a fuck about what anybody else said. I was just like, no. But I actually was considering, I was so destitute. I didn't know what else to do. Because I figured, honestly, Jock, I figured I was going to wind up dead, or I was going to wind up in jail, or I had to leave that situation on my own. So when I came back from the liquor store one night, I was walking back in the backside of the motel. There was a gate there, but the gate was broken down so you could get through it, like a shortcut. And I came back through the gate, and this black guy walks up to me and goes, "Hey man, you want to buy some smokes?" And I said, "Oh, what do you got?" And he goes, I got Marlboro Reds." And I said, "Oh man, it's cool." I said, "I don't smoke those." And he goes, "What do you mean you don't smoke those? Every honky smokes those," or whatever he said. "Every whitey smokes those." And I said, "No, actually, dude, I smoke Cools." And he's all, "Oh, what are you messing with me?" Because back in those days, the people I hung around, notoriously, most of my black friends smoked Cools. They smoked Cools, Newports, or Benson and Hedges. And I had a lot of black friends. And I'm like, dude, no. I said, he goes, "Are you making fun of me? Are you trying to make fun of me? Is it because I'm black you don't want to buy my cigarettes?" And I said, "Dude, I grew up in Inglewood. I was the only white kid on a black street." I said, "All my friends are multicultural." I said, "I don't care what color your skin is. I care what color the pack of the cigarettes are, and they're not mine." And I said, "Furthermore, I don't smoke Marlboro Reds because when I did, all my friends wanted to bum cigarettes off of me. So I got smart and decided to smoke menthols. My friends say, 'Hey, can I bum a cigarette?' I'm like, 'It's a menthol.' They're like, 'No, thank you.' So I saved my money. That's what I did. So, and I went to go reach into my back pocket to show him. I said, 'Listen, I'll show you.' And I went to reach in my back pocket. He thought I was pulling a gun. He put a 9mm to my forehead and said, 'Don't move or I'll blow your fucking brains out.'" And I was like, and I don't know, can we have language on your show? I'm not sure.
Yeah, go for it. I'm Scottish, man, and I'm an ex-soldier, so you're in.
Okay.
I just want to channel where I'm a spiritual teacher and that. And I have to be very professional in that side of things because I'm dealing with
Right.
people with grief. But yeah, you go for it, dude.
Yeah, no. I try to tell the story as authentically as I can. And so I got to the point, he put the gun to my head and he says, he goes, don't move or I'll blow your fucking brains out. I remember this vividly because I was like, I had so much angst against my mom, resentment against my mom, that I just said, I said, if you're going to pull the fucking trigger, pull the fucking trigger. And it was like, what happened? Like, oh my God. And he didn't. Fortunately, my friend Will came out from one of his rooms and he said, he goes, hey, him and his moms are cool. Him and his moms are cool. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. And we were like, okay, wow, this is a trip. So wound up getting to know the guy. But after that point, I wound up, sitting there really contemplating what it was that I was going through. And I had to contemplate what I was going to do moving forward, thinking about the fact that, I might go to jail or I might die. So when I was sitting there at the top of the stairs, looking out at the motel one night and seeing the prostitution going on, the drugs being dealt, the cops coming in and out, over a period of time. And I was just like, wow. And so I believe the universe gives a signpost. The universe will sit there and say, hey, listen, you have a situation you need to address. And if you don't address it, something's going to happen and it's going to make you address it. And we get those progressive signposts. And so I figured that gun to my forehead was a signpost enough that whatever I needed to do, I needed to follow that. And a couple of days later, the universe said, hey, Chris, we gave you the signpost. Here's your exit. And so I went to work one day and I worked out of a guy's apartment in Huntington Beach at roofing contractor appointments.
I know Huntington Beach.
Yeah, so we set roofing contractor appointments out of this guy's apartment in one of his rooms. He had an office set up. We go to work and he says, I got good news and bad news. And we're like, okay, what's up? And he goes, well, the bad news is I'm going to close up shop and I'm going to move to Texas. He goes, the good news is I know you guys are struggling. I know you've been homeless. I want to leave you my apartment. It's a 2-bedroom apartment. I already knew that. And he goes, I want to leave the first and the last in the deposit just for you guys so you can move out of that place and get a place to start for yourself. I know that saving up for that stuff is hard. And so we looked at each other like, oh my God, dude, we could do this. We could do this. We could get so-and-so and get so-and-so and we can make it. Cause I think the rent at that time was like $815 a month in Huntington Beach, which is crazy. And I thought for the first time, Jock, I thought, you know what, after everything I'd been through with my mom, I thought that I would go back there and she would finally say, you know what, Chris, I didn't even tell you this part. My mom she was working for a drug dealer at the motel and she was also feeding information to the Anaheim Police Department. She was doing this double agent shit, thought she was going to crack down on drugs and all this weird shit. I went through so much stuff with her. It was crazy. Jeez. And so I figured at this time she was going to say, you know what, Chris, I've screwed up your life enough. She even won the lottery while we were homeless and we still remained homeless. We're still in that motel. It was like, what? So I figured I would go to her and she was like, Chris, go live your life. You're a young man now. You have an opportunity. This is a great opportunity. You're going to wind up dead or in jail here. She didn't give a shit. Nope. She called me every name in the book, tried to have me arrested for taking my own car. And the God's honest truth is I did leave, and thank God I did leave, but I went back there every single night. I still gave her money. I still helped take care of her. But surprisingly, I learned about codependency and she suddenly had to get stronger because I wasn't her little whipping boy anymore. And for me, I started getting around different people, which changed the trajectory of my life.
That's phenomenal. I want to go back to something. You mentioned a couple of things there. You said, hey, and I listened to you doing your video the other day when you were talking about signposts, and you said the universe. Now, I don't know whether you're a religious type person or not, but the fact that you're utilizing that, the universe was giving you signposts, I guess that you have more of a spiritual, universal outlook to things.
Yes, that's correct.
Absolutely. Good. Oh, so you're right in my wheelhouse then.
Awesome. Yeah, I have a belief that whatever somebody wants to follow or believe in, that's their thing, whether it's the Quran, the Bible, whatever floats their boat and makes them good, as long as we all get to do that for ourselves and we can come together and have discussions and learn from one another. That's what I'm about.
That's fantastic. And I have to say to people, listen here, guys, when he says that his mum won the lottery, we don't know if she won $1 million or if she won $10. So just put that into perspective. But at the end of the day, you still didn't get nothing from it. But it's interesting how you'd made the decision that you wanted to change, and then you were given that exit point, and then it all fell into your lap. What I want to make a point is that you saw these signposts. You basically made the decision. You made the decision, hey, life has got to change. This freaking sucks. I've got to get out of here. And it was given to you. Now, most people don't recognize these signs, but you recognize the sign. And you were given an almost impossible thing that normally doesn't happen. You were given an apartment. You were given money for, put $800 in Huntington Beach. By the way, I had time in Huntington Beach many, many, many years ago when I was in the military. When I came out of the military, I came over to do some stuff with the LAPD, and I stayed there. And I took my wife back there when we got married, saying, "You've got to go to this place. It's absolutely amazing." And I go to this hotel in Huntington Beach, and at the time it was like a 5-star hotel. And I took my wife back there on her honeymoon, and it was like a motel. It was like a rundown bar thing. I'm like, it's amazing how you look at things differently when you're in the military. You're out of the military. It's completely different. But anyway, I digress. You had these signs, and you had it given to you on a plate. You had this opportunity. So go from there. So what did you do from then? Because you're not earning anything, I guess. I mean, you're not having a job. You've got this opportunity. So what did you do then?
So yeah, once I got away from my mom in that situation, the primary target was for me to get another job to replace that one. But the overall thing was surviving. But at the same time, I was hanging around a bunch of people and we started partying. So drugs became more of a theme in my life. Drugs and alcohol definitely became more of a theme in my life. But one of the great things that happened to me one night is my buddies got jobs at Kmart, and they came back one night and they said, "Oh, we met these girls at Kmart. They work there. We were going to have a party on Friday night." And we're like, "All right, cool. A party on Friday night." You know, I'm 17 years old and I'm just like, finally like, wow, we have a place, and, you know, I have a bedroom and everything. It's crazy. So they bring these girls over, and each one of the girls, there's 3 of us and there's 3 girls. And all of a sudden we kind of get with different girls. Then I get with this one girl, and she winds up becoming my wife, for 5 years. And through that process though, here's the cool thing, Jock. I was the guy on the other side of the tracks. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Valley Girl with Nick Cage, and I can't remember the other one. Basically, totally opposite sides of the track type of situation. I had long hair. I smoked cigarettes. I'd been homeless. My girlfriend now was like Miss Fountain Valley, like, you know, at top of her class, you know, hangs out with all the cute rich kids. Hanging out with all the cute rich kids with short hair. And she brings me home to her parents, right? The night before I did acid for the first time. That was fun. So I got to meet her parents while I was coming off of acid for the first time. I was going to her prom, which was another thing, but I met her dad. The most important thing is I met her dad. And her dad taught me something that I will never forget, that I've always taught other people, is that you look in somebody, you don't look at somebody. So he immediately started getting to know me. He didn't judge me. He doesn't like, okay, what's this leather jacket, you know, smoking guy with a 66 Dodge Coronet with all these heavy metal stickers all over it, dating my nice daughter who should be dating
no Harley, Chris, come on.
Oh, no, I had a Harley later in life. I was only 17 years old at that point. No. So he started like talking to me and like really like understanding me. And he said, you know, why don't you go back to school, Chris? And I'm like, come on, dude. I'm like, you know, I'm not going to go back to high school. I said, I was a 7th grade dropout. I said, I was doing poor in school anyway. I went from being bullied to being a bully. I was fighting. I was skipping class. I was smoking pot. I said, I'm not going to go back to high school. Are you crazy? I'm 17 years old. And he goes, no, you can go back and get what's called a GED, a general equivalency diploma. And I was like, I don't know what that is. And he kind of looked at me in such a way like, you want to keep dating my daughter, you better go get this. And I was like, I like your daughter. Your daughter's really nice to me. I'm not used to having people be nice to me. So I want to continue this. So I'm going to do this. And that was the important thing, Jock, because I started recognizing what happy people do and then copying that, right? So if happy people have degrees and they have furniture in their house that they don't even sit on, because I remember walking into their house. I mean, I got to know them, obviously. They had living room furniture there. That's the sitting room that we never sit in. I'm like, wow, you guys I don't have any furniture in my apartment. Jesus Christ, this is amazing. You guys have furniture everywhere. This is so cool. I want to do what you're doing. You know, that's a signpost. That's a signpost to somebody to sit there and say, you know what, if you don't have what you want, then look at somebody who does and then copy what it is that they do, right? But we don't want to go through that hard work and that dedication. So I took his advice and I went out
and 4-hour work week don't freaking exist.
Yeah. And this was before the internet and everything else. So I found out how to get my GED, and I went down to Wintersburg High School in Huntington Beach. And they said, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to give you a test and we're going to see where you're at. And then based on where you're at, we'll give you classes that you can make up to get your GED. And I immediately thought, based on all the things I was told by my mom, you're stupid, you know, didn't do very well in school because I found out I needed glasses and I didn't hear very well. Interesting about that. And they just thought I was a poor student and stupid, but you know, you got to check the kid out every once in a while. So I wound up testing and I thought I was going to fail miserably. They came back, with the test results and said I needed to make up like 2 or 3 classes. They said, you're actually pretty bright. And I was like, wow, okay, that's interesting. I like that. So I think I can't remember the timeline on it, but I think it was 3 months that it took me to make up those classes, took the test again, say that 10 times fast, and then wound up getting my GED. Yeah. So I wound up getting my GED and I went back to Bill and I went, look, I got the GED. And he says, that's very nice, Christopher. What about college? I'm like, college? What? Dude, what are you asking of me? I got the GED. Jesus, what do you want me to do? College, you know, I'm working 2 jobs, you know, I'm living in an apartment with 4 guys. Come on. Really? He's like, well, you can go to Golden West College and, the units are only $23 a piece or something like that, some crazy thing. And, if you go, I'll help you with your books. I mean, you can't argue with a deal like that. This guy has a degree.
No.
He was the president of a trucking company. He was very, to me, he was rich. I mean, geez, he had a 2-story house. I'm like, wow, the places I could live in here, thinking about that. I'd live in your I live in your walk-in closet. Geez, there's more space in there than my whole station wagon. So yeah, I remember that. I walked up. I remember going to the college because I'd been there before as working the swap meet in the college. By the way, working the swap meet as a guy that helped people set up stuff. And I remember I went into the admissions room and I was scared to death. And I said, "Hi, I'm here to come to school, and I don't know what else to say or do." And they ran me through the process. And my first class, thankfully enough, was interpersonal communications class. And from there, I learned the value of communications and personalities and whatnot. And it set me on a path to become a communicator and a coach and a speaker and everything else.
And that wasn't the time though that you decided I'm going to become a coach, because that's just the beginning of your psychological side of things, where you're starting to learn about people.
Yes, absolutely true.
I guess it must have flipped your world upside down to think, like human behavior, you're starting to learn more about that. And now here's the thing I want to ask you, because I think this is interesting.
Sure.
I was talking about your relationship with your mother. So that dynamic must have changed dramatically, because you're now questioning life.
Oh yeah.
How did that fit in?
Yeah, that was it was very interesting. I mean, like I said before, I went back and I visited her every night, took her money, tried to help her out, with the cats and everything. But the dynamic of the situation became resentment. She started to resent me because I had went off, and then she started resenting every female person that I had in my life. Like my girlfriend at the time, Tammy, she was taking care of me. She was buying me food. She was buying me clothes. I mean, she was really like taking me out. I never had any of that stuff done. My mom was kind of resentful of that, so much to the fact that she almost didn't come to our wedding. My mother almost did not come to my graduation for my associate's degree. She almost didn't come to my graduation for my bachelor's degree. And ultimately, I'm happy to say I did get my master's degree in organizational management. And I had to threaten her to come to that one because she says, I have to work. And I'm like, Mom, I'm graduating with a college degree and you don't want to come? Yeah. So it got ugly for a while. But I'm actually writing a book actively right now called "It's Just You and Me, Kid," and it's basically the story of my mom, the craziness of our lives through up until the point when she expired. But yeah, it was crazy. It was very painful at times also, because she would sit there and call and say, I need this right now. I need this right now. I have nobody else to call. So my first wife will tell you how many times I would stop in the middle of the night, whatever I had to do. Oh, the cats need cat food. I have to drive, 25 miles to go bring the cats cat food. It's crazy what I put up with, but still I look back on it and I appreciate every situation that happened, because it made me the man I am today.
It has, and that's what it has made you the coach you are today. And let's jump onto that. So when was you? I mean, you've got a master's. Listening to this, ladies and gentlemen, he's gone from rags. I'm not saying rags to riches, but you've gone from rags. You've educated yourself. You've got a master's. Anybody who says that they can't do anything, or they're suffering from what I call lazy arse-itis, needs a kick up the arse. So you have basically done it for real. But what is it that made you turn that negative aspect of your life into your freaking superpower and coach people?
So yeah, once I left the situation, I had to go back to the motel every night and pretty much take care of my mom for that duration. And over that period of time, as I developed my independence, she also developed her independence too, because I learned about codependency and was able to really identify the fact that as I grew stronger, I was inspiring her to grow stronger as well. But one of the problems that happened with that is the fact that she started really rejecting and alienating the people that I was dating and all my friends, because they were competing for time. So if I was with Tammy, then I couldn't be with Mom. But my ex-wife will tell you any day or time, she goes, my mom would call me or sit there and say she needed something, and I would jump and I would go do it. And I never realized how much I was like that until later in life. We've been divorced for a number of years. We're still great friends. And she would say, do you remember what your mom used to put you through? And so God's honest truth is I forget it. It's like, okay, whatever it was, it was. I don't need to hang on to that kind of stuff. So I just file it away. It's like whatever it was. And she's like, oh, she used to call you and she used to make you feel guilty. And I remember those times where we didn't have money for rent and you would give her money. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even remember that. I just was in go mode all the time. And so when it came to the fact of when I started graduating from school, when I graduated from my associate's degree, degree. Hey, mom, I'm graduating with my associate's degree. You gonna come? Oh, I have to work. Wait. I'm a seventh grade dropout. I'm making something of my life. I'm working now at a trucking company. I've got a stable relationship. I'm not in jeopardy of dying at the particular moment. I need you to come to this. And so that was the same thing when I got my bachelor's degree. After I got my associate's degree, I went to an accelerated course to get my bachelor's degree. So I did, instead of 18-week classes, I did 9-week classes while I still had a full-time job. And then ultimately I got out of that and I just decided, you know what? I want to get a master's degree. I really wanted to get a master's degree. I wanted to set myself up to be as successful as I possibly could. So at some point I knew that I was going to take my story and be able to go back and inspire other people. But through that process, my mother and I had various conflicts and arguments and whatnot. And ultimately I had to beg her to come to my master's degree graduation. Again, she said she had to work, and it totally blew my mind, Jock, thinking about all the things that I did for her, all the sacrifices I made, all the nights that I cried myself to sleep, everything else I did. And you can't come and see your own son graduate from school. It wasn't like I didn't do the work. I busted my ass to go to school and to pay for it on my own. I'm still paying my student loans off 26 years later. I mean, actually, or 20 years later, I'm still paying them off because that's what I had to do to survive. So yeah, but ultimately, from there, it was interesting. As I got older and as I started establishing myself as an adult, we became friends. We started going to concerts together. We started talking about music together. We became more friends and buddies. So it's a very crazy relationship.
Let me ask you a bit of a double loaded question, maybe a dangerous question. There's maybe three sides to it. When you were making this decision to change, and obviously the things, ask yourself deeply, were you changing for you, or were you changing for other people, or were you changing for your mother?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have not been asked that question before. I think it's a little bit of both as far as changing for me and also changing for my mother. I think there was always that desire to, well, I could say there definitely was. There was always that desire to gain that significance and that acceptance and that love. Like, great job, Chris. You're not stupid. You're not an idiot. You shouldn't shut up. And I spent my entire life trying to do that and show her, like, listen, I don't need your help anymore. I know how to do these things. And I became more successful than her in business, and I started mentoring her in her jobs and whatnot. But yeah, it was
there's a hidden thing there, Chris, because you were deep inside of you wanted your mother to change, and I think there's an aspect to you there that's like, well, if I change, she's going to change.
Yeah, and she did, and she also made me a
teacher.
Yeah, I was the parent from about 7 years old, pretty much. I mean, that's what I told my therapist. My therapist asked me one time, she goes, when did you stop being a kid? And I was like, wow, that's a powerful question. And I thought about it. I said about 7 or 8 years old, because I was a latchkey kid. I had to come home from school and sit on the porch for 4 or 5 hours until my mom got home, because there was nobody home. She couldn't let me in the house. So I just sat there on the porch and sat there by myself. Yeah, it was crazy times. It was crazy times. But in looking back at it now, all of it happened for all the right reasons. So
no regrets, nothing that you regret at all?
Nope.
That's a hard question to answer. There's a lot of people kind of loaded there. They don't know,
I have one. I do have one regret, and I shared this with people. The one regret I do have that I can think of at the top of my head is that in the other room over here, I have probably 7 photo albums. Everybody in my family is literally dead. I mean, aside from my sister, who I don't talk to anymore. You can ask me questions about that too. I'm an open book. But I have 7 photo albums in the other room of my mother's mother. All these different antique photos, and I don't know anybody. I have all these people that I'm supposedly related to. I don't know who they are. Nobody ever wrote on the back of the picture who they are. So that's my regret, is that I did not take the photo albums and like say, what was this memory about? And like just write on the back of the pictures, like, oh, this was Disneyland 1977. This is what we did. That's my regret, because I have all that stuff in there, and God's honest truth, I want to throw it away because I have no desire for it, but I just hang on to it because I feel bad. It's like, this is like family heritage, but I don't know anybody in there, and nobody's going to come back from the grave to say, hey, that's your great great Aunt Mildred. She was related to George Washington. I don't know. So that's one of my regrets that I didn't do. And the other regret I have is that we were supposed to write the book that I'm writing right now together. Because I told her, I said, one day I'm going to write a book about our journey. And she goes, oh, you're going to make me out to be a mean bitch. And everything's going to be about poor Chris. And I'm like, no, it's not. I said, not even. I said, I tell you what. And this is when she was really getting sick towards the last couple of years of her life. Yeah. And I said, why don't we write this together? My mom was a very, very brilliant person. I paint her out. She was a pain in the ass, and she had her mess ups, but she actually went to University of Santa Barbara at 16 years old. She graduated college. Her mom drove her like crazy. So she was incredibly brilliant, book smart, but everything else, no, she was stupid as hell as the day goes along. So yeah, it was crazy. The different types of conversations that we had, and the relationship that we developed.
So do you think she obviously had an influence in her life that made her go the way that she went? And that connected to her family, lack of love in her family, lack of direction? Was that the case? Yeah. Okay.
Yep. She used to tell me. Yeah, she used to tell me that she was 4 years old, and I remember she was like 41 or 42 years old, and I said, "What?" She goes, "I'm 4 years old," and she used to have this thing about stuffed animals, and of course, all the cats, like I told you before. We had 18 cats in the station wagon, but we had about 35 cats in the house. That's all we could catch to get in the station wagon before the sheriff showed up to kick us out of the house.
It's a big lesson, and I always say to people, never judge anyone. You hear this thing, but never judge a book by its cover. But I always say to people, never judge anybody because you don't know how they're suffering inside.
True. And so I found out, I remembered when I was later in life, when I was trying to process the anger and the resentment and everything that I had towards her, it occurred to me like, and as I was coaching people, it occurred to me like, everybody wanted to judge people for being different. And I said, okay, I asked myself this question. If I've gone through everything that Jock has gone through in his life, might I be like Jock? Might I not have the same opinions and thoughts that Jock has? Yes, of course. So I put myself in my mom's situations. I'm like, okay, let me put myself in her life and think that if I went through her life, might I have been the mother that she was? And thinking about it, it occurred to me, I'm like, her parents got divorced when she was 4. Mm-hmm. So she lost her dad's love. Her dad, she only saw her dad on, she only saw her dad on special holidays. She went with her bitch mom, my grandmother, and my grandmother was, she was crazy. She was psychotic about my mom getting the right food. She had the right food, the right dresses and everything. My grandmother would go without, but she drove my mom like crazy. She didn't ever have friends. She never went out and dated. She basically was repressed and just told, go to school. You'll be brilliant and you'll make money and you'll be safe. But that screwed her up psychologically as well. So yeah, it's all part and parcel to the whole journey. And that's the thing I teach people now is like, if you can look back on your life and be so grateful, like my mom and all those situations that I went through, those taught me all sorts of valuable lessons that have been able to afford me the opportunity to speak to thousands of people and impact thousands of lives based on that. So I'm grateful for all the tribulation. I'm grateful for all the smacks. I'm grateful for all that stuff because I was able to stay resilient and stay confident and be able to set forth in my path and say, you know what, I'm not going to repeat all the other things that happened in the past. And she used to tell me, Jock, she goes, don't ever have kids. And I'm like, and I wasn't really a kid person, obviously, because I didn't really feel like I was a kid ever in my life. Yeah. That's another therapy story. But she would tell me not to have kids. And I said, why? And she goes, well, abuse runs in our family. I'm like, that's bullshit. I said, that's a fucking choice. I said, no, that's bullshit. I said, you chose to slap me. You chose to throw a fucking can of Coke at my head and bust my head open because I didn't give the cat water.
You created a new circle. You basically created I've always said to people, you go around a circle. If you don't break that circle and create a new one, you're forever going to go around in that circle.
Yep. And you go down the rabbit hole and you wind up. Yeah.
So let's jump on to the fact that you decided to become a coach. Nobody decides to become a coach, right? We don't. Well, yeah, there's people that they see a course and they think they can earn quick money out of it and they can do it.
24-hour course? Okay, I'm a life coach.
So a life coach has got no life. It's laughable. So you then decided, okay, this thing called coaching. You probably, how did you get into that? What was the spark that made you think, okay, this is what I'm now. This is my destiny. This is what I should be doing.
Right. No, that's a great question. It was ultimately, Jock, I became obsessed about inspiring other people because as I got out of my own shit and I started realizing it was just a matter of my choices and not submitting to my excuses, I started seeing people doing this. I'm like, okay, all you have to do is just stop doing that to yourself. If you stop doing that to yourself, you'll be happy. And so I felt like I was like appointed the motivational lifeguard for everybody. Like, and I actually coined this term that I became a compulsive motivationalist. So I was like trying to help people. The bartender would be down. I'm like, what's got you down? I just started talking to people and I just started listening to people and I started seeing these patterns. And I just decided, I'm like, okay, I could take this situation. I didn't know about coaching. I got into psychology for a while in school. I got into sociology. I studied I was looking to be a licensed clinical social worker. So I was looking at all the traditional modes of therapy to go out there and help people, but I did not like the constraints of what it is that the curriculum was teaching me. I'm like, okay, I've got life skills. I've got life skills, man. I don't have book skills. I passed all my tests. I got my master's degree. I don't want to go back and take those tests right now. No, thank you. I got it. I earned it and I did it. Still paying for it. But it's truly incredible, what we do when we let go of those excuses and what it is that we can do and what we can become.
So you've gone in, you've basically changed. You've changed your frigging life, and you've come into this. You're absolutely passionate about coaching. You didn't know it was coaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I didn't know. It was crazy because then people started coming to me at work. They would come to me and ask me a question, and all of a sudden it was crazy. 45 minutes later, like, Chris, I don't know what it is, but I just feel I can talk to you about anything. And people were talking to me about a lot of stuff, divorces, female. I mean, I learned about everything, and I was just like, wow. And everybody said the same thing. It's like, you're so easy to talk to. I'm like, I don't have any judgment. It's like, I've been to hell and back. I've done through dumpsters for food. What am I going to judge you for in your life? Right. I'm just here to help. If I can make it, I want to help somebody up. I mean, that's what makes the world a better place. And so then I saw the movie Pay It Forward with Haley Joel Osment. And then I started thinking, I'm like, ooh, here's what I can do. I can take my gift and I can do Pay It Forward coaching. So this way, and this is the thing in my brain. I was like, I'll do it for free, so there's no excuse. And I'll help a ton of people, and I'll just do it out of the goodness of my heart. And what I'll do is I'll ask them to go pay it forward and do 3 nice things for somebody else, right? And that Pay It Forward movement, we can actually, abolish, all the different things that are going on in our life. What I found out is when people aren't paying for coaching, as I see by your smile, yeah, when people aren't paying for their coaching, they don't take it very fucking seriously. So okay. I found myself getting incredibly annoyed as I was spending all this time with people, and I would give them these assignments every week. And I'm like, okay, if you do this, if you read this book, and literally I started off just like, I'll read this book with you. I'll read Man's Search for Meaning, which I have over here on my other side. I'll read Man's Search for Meaning with you. Your attitude will fucking change. It will. Oh, I don't have time, Chris. And I didn't have a chance this week. I'm like, wait. I'm here. I have more belief and faith in you than you have in yourself.
This is the hardest freaking interview that I've ever had. And it's to do with electronics and probably everything else that's going on. But the interview in itself is brilliant. This guy is an absolute inspiration to people. And I hope everybody sticks with it and enjoys this. And who knows, we'll probably have to do another one or do it again anyway. So yeah, you're writing a book, right? Obviously of your experiences, and we'll go into that in a bit later. But you've decided you can help people, and you're just inspired. But we know that people, if they don't pay for it, they don't value anything. So, and they're lazy about it. So, what made you decide to then leave your career, leave everything behind, and actually do this for a living, changing people's lives?
I love that question, Jacques. Thank you so much for asking me that one. That's huge. I was at my last position. I was in my company for 26 years. So going from homeless to something. So I had done a couple of different jobs. I had done a couple of different jobs. My last job, literally, I started there as the warehouse export documentation clerk on June 1st, 1993. I was 23 or 24 years old, freshly divorced, by the way. And literally just really starting out on my journey, right? I went from my mom to my ex-wife, Tammy, literally went from 1 to 1. And then all of a sudden, we grew apart. We got married way too young, never had kids, thank God. So then at 23 years old, now I'm divorced. I'm still helping my mom out. She's pretty much taking care of herself for the most part. And so then I start this job. And so through that job, I rose through the ranks. I found what Gay Hendricks talks about as I found my zone of excellence, leadership, going through school, getting my bachelor's degree in business administration, going for my master's degree in organizational management. I knew that I liked people. I didn't want to go for an MBA. I'm not a numbers person. I don't dig that stuff. It drives my brain crazy. I'm good at it, but it's just not something that's not my forte. So I went for the master's for organizational management because I knew I wanted to get into companies and really inspire people to think differently. I was seeing leadership and just different things were going on. I started reading, the GE guy. I always forget his name. I read his book. I started getting massively absorbed in reading autobiographies, Lee Iacocca's book. I started getting into motivation and tapes and stuff like that because when I was a kid, somebody gave me these Tony Robbins tapes, these cassette tapes, and I started listening to them. And that's when things started shifting in my mind as well. So it was just a whole cornucopia, but all during that time I was coaching, and then I started doing paying coaching, and then I started speaking and mentoring kids, and then I started making money at it. And so I was doing both of them side by side. And what I found out ultimately is after spending an hour and a half getting to work and an hour and a half getting home from work, spending 12 hours in the office, giving everything that I had to that organization, I started finding myself comfortably miserable. I was making over 6 figures a year. I had an office with windows. I ran the facilities department. I knew the IT department. I could get a new computer. I could get a new desk. I had an awesome team. I had great benefits. I had every other Friday off. Everything was just it was really great. And I just found myself sitting in traffic every day going, when are you going to jump? When are you going to go for what it is that you really love to do? When are you going to do this? And then In 2019, interestingly enough, my coach reached out to me and she said, fuck, mate. She's New Zealand, Kiwi. She goes, fuck, mate. She goes, I've watched you on Facebook since 2013. You should be huge. And so she wanted to coach me. She's like, I see so much potential in you. I want to coach you. So I coached with her for 6 months. And one of the biggest things that I found out, Jock, was that I was in survival mode. Even though I had gained success and bought 2 houses and have nice things and everything, I was still in survival mode. I was always in plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G mode. I was like, I'm not going to go back to being homeless. I'm not going to go back to being broke. I'm not going to go back to an apartment. I'm just going to keep, rising to the top. I'm going to keep, acquiring stuff so that I'm safe and I'm secure. And I finally realized there's no safety and security when you're not free. When you don't get to be who you are. If I can't go to work every day, if I can't wake up and be excited about who I am every day, if I get to swear or whatever and wear my hat on backwards, whatever, I just decided, and I was like, oh my God, something's got to happen. And again, those signposts, I'll be very transparent with you. I went in on November, I'm almost forgetting the date already. It's only been, so I think it was November 7th of 2019. And I'd been considering it. And then my coach had gave me this video to watch. It's by Steve Harvey. I've recommended it thousands of times. She said, go watch this video called Jump. And it's Steve Harvey Jump. You can see it on YouTube. It's less than 2 minutes. And I went and watched it. She says, go watch it right now. We were doing a Zoom call she was in New Zealand, of course. And I went and watched it. And I was just like, Jock, have you ever seen something so simple that just punched you right in the face?
Yeah.
And he says, have you ever seen that video?
Yeah, I have actually. Steve, you're talking about Steve Harvey, the black guy who's on TV and stuff. Yeah, he's brilliant.
Jump. Yeah, he does this 2-minute video and he goes, if you're sitting there looking at all your friends flying, everybody's doing this and they're going here and they're doing that. And you're like, oh man, they're flying. I want to do that. It's because they jumped. He goes, but guess what? When you jump, when you jump, your parachute's not going to open right away. You're going to get dinged up on some rocks. You're going to get banged up. But I tell you what, your parachute will open. He goes, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, he goes, you don't jump, your parachute will never open. And that part right there, Jock, was like, oh my God. And as I'm getting older, now I'm 52 years old, I was like, and I went into work that day and they laid me off. They said, your position's been eliminated after 26 years, hard stop.
That's a freaking signpost if ever there's one.
Yes. So that was the signpost because I had nudges along the way. I had little signposts along the way saying, hey, Chris, you could jump off here and go speak. I had Les Brown. Do you know who Les Brown is? Les Brown.
No.
You don't know who fucking Les Brown is?
Les Brown, no.
Jesus.
Who's Les Brown?
Les Brown, he's like a Tony Rod. He's like a famous international speaker. Yeah, well,
no, I don't know Les Brown.
I got to hang out with Les Brown. Go Google him. He's amazing. I got to hang out with him. I went to a speaker training course and he said, I could put you on stages, Chris, but I can't do the bandana thing. I would put you on on stages if you were wearing a suit and tie. I'm like, dude, I did the suit and tie thing. I spoke and wore a suit and tie for years and I hated it. So that's when I joined a mastermind in 2013 and wound up going in and seeing branding experts and everybody else. Like, you're not a suit and tie guy. You're a rocker guy. You're a biker guy. You're the guy that needs to go out there and swear and just be you. And this was at a time before Gary Vaynerchuk was even out swearing. Nobody was swearing. And they're like, oh, Chris, if you're a public speaker and you swear, nobody's going to hire you and all this other shit. And I just finally I just want to be me. If I'm going to suck at this, I'm going to suck at it being me, right? I just want to wake up every day and be me. And so just the culmination of all that, the little signpost that happened, and then all of a sudden that happened, and my identity was rocked. Once I walked out of that place, I was like, after 26 years and how much I busted my ass for that place. Because if you see any integrity in what I do right now, dude, when I was working for an employer, I was there, one day I was there for 27 hours.
Yeah.
It was crazy. A couple of months before I got laid off. And I know what it was. Because everybody was like, they were trying to make it more corporate. It used to be totally family owned. And I went against the grain. But for those couple of months afterwards, I was like, okay, I'll get a job really quick. I've got a master's degree. I've got 20 plus years in management. I've got all these other accolades. I also am a speaker. I sent out 100 resumes. Talk about another signpost, 100 resumes.
Not one job.
Not one job.
I'm
like, what is wrong with me? I started taking it super serious. And then I called my mentors. I'm like, this is what's going on. And they're like, Chris, you don't see it. The universe is telling you, you have one path. And so I started, and so I started looking at everything and I was like, you know what? I told my wife, I said, I can't go back to corporate. I said, I can't. I said, I will be miserable sitting on the freeways for the rest of my life, knowing that I have this gift of excellence and genius in me to go impact the world and make it a better place for who I am and what I do. So that's what set me off in that. And it's been an amazing experience.
And you've done a lot of speaking engagement. You've spoke at a lot of companies and corporations and things like that.
Yes. Yeah. You can see all the different companies on my website. But yeah, no, I've spoken
How do you feel? I'm going to ask everybody this. How do you feel when you're coaching someone and they get it, and you see that deep sense of, wow, this is the aha moment. You know that things have changed.
You just took what I tell people right out of my brain, Jock. I tell people the greatest gift, one of the greatest gifts, aside from seeing my son laugh, the greatest gift is when I tell somebody or I say something in such a way that if I've planted seeds all along and now I'm watering them, and they get that one that pops and they go, holy shit, it's me.
I'll just interject there a little bit and you can jump off from there. I did a video a long time ago, and the video was, and if you really want the secret to happiness that I teach people is not to try and look for happiness outside of yourself, and not to even try and look happiness inside of yourself, which everybody tells you that. Everybody teaches you happiness is within. I believe happiness only comes within when you make other people happy. Because
True.
when you change someone's life like you do, and you make them happy, and you see them smiling from the inside, or like, you know, I was sitting watching my program the other day, and you watch these people that are overweight, and you see them fucking bust their guts, literally, and do it, and the pounds are coming down, and they're starting to lose their weight, and you're smiling inside of yourself, because that's how you find the secret of happiness, in seeing it in other people.
Yes. It's
not
addicting.
Being like a deer, who's a musk deer who's looking for it and knowing that it's inside of themselves, but you can't feel it inside of yourself until it's activated from the reality of what a divine connection is with another being.
So true. I love that.
And that's exactly what you do.
Well, thank you. Yep, that's my intention every single day when I wake up. Is my intention is to go out to serve the world and make it a better place for what I say, what I do, and how I am.
No, your life has been phenomenal from a lot of other. I know coaches like Rich Litvin, who's had a great life, and Steve Chandler, and all the other people like that, and they've all got really. The stories are phenomenal. There's people that have gone through the gauntlet, they've fought their way through. You're a bit like, actually a little bit like Steve Chandler, because he went through so much of his stuff and so much of. Did you read? You've got one of his books here, haven't you?
Right there, baby. Right behind you. You can tell. You can tell Steve. I whipped that right out.
Yes. No. I went in his CP, his CP, his course and stuff like that. I've got a great deal of respect for him. Now that you brought out Steve's book, what is taking you so long in your book? Because you're 52. I guess this book has been there for years. I know how long. I saw a thing the other day and it says, write a book in a week, use this AI thing, but it doesn't have your heart, doesn't have your soul, doesn't have you in it. What is holding you? When's your book coming out? Why is it taking you so long? Because this story has been burning in, I can tell it's been burning in you for so long. This should have been out by now, dude.
Oh, I know. You should talk to some of my mentors. One of my mentors hit me up last year, and she goes, and she's a psychic, she's a medium. She says, I feel like greatness is coming for you, but I feel like there's something you need to do first. I feel like you have to get this book out. And I've been talking about, I already wrote a book over behind my other shoulder called 69 Tips for Living Your Kick-Ass Life. It's basically life's little instruction book, but it's swearing. So it's like, it's great stuff. I never published that one either. I also wrote another book called Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life that I didn't publish. So she came to me and I told her, she goes, you need to put out a book. And I said, I know, I need to put out a lot of things. And I told her, I said, well, I've got this one almost done. I said, this one's really done. I said, it's got a space for a barcode. It's ready to go. And she's like, no, not that one. And I described to her another one. And I said, well, the ultimate book I'm going to write is what's called It's Just You and Me, Kid. And it's a story of a mom and a son on this journey. She goes, that one. She goes, that's the one you need to write, Chris. Use that one. I said, well, I was going to save that one for later and write these ones up and then maybe get a publishing deal out of that one later on, made for TV, movie, whatever. And she goes, no, you need to write that one. And so God's honest truth, I got on the path when Patricia speaks, I'm like, okay. And so I got on the path. The thing I did not realize in going back and really thinking about all of those occurrences that happened to me and happened for me was the detail that I would have to get into to write them. So once I started getting into the detail of how I had to call the police because my mother and my stepdad were fighting and throwing dishes and I thought they were going to kill each other. And I had to call the cops and I had to come out of the front door, my hands up in the air with all these sirens flashing because they were beating the shit out of each other. They were all bloody. I forgot about that. But when I was sitting there going, I'm like, and I made a list of all the different major memories that I had in my life. And I'm not even up to the point where we're homeless. And I don't even know how much. I'm just vomiting and just getting it all out there with subheadings and stuff like that based on these stories. But what I realized is once I got into that, then I started like not seeing, I'm a person that wants, I'm sure you're like me. Once I put in some effort, I want to see some sort of result. Like, what am I getting for this effort? And I'm like, all I'm doing is spilling all these thoughts out on a paper. It's not making anything. I know it's making something, but at the same time, I started getting lazy. So I've recommitted to get back to do the writing. The God's honest truth, during COVID, I had my mother-in-law living here. She came out November of 2019. She didn't leave until about 4 weeks ago. So she was stuck out here for COVID. So I had her in my house. I had my son in my house for a little over a year, because he couldn't go to school because of her being at risk and my wife being at risk. So the chaos in the house for the last year was crazy. So I didn't really have time to write, and that's an excuse in and of itself. But so to your point, when am I going to have it done? I will definitely have the rough draft done by the end of the year. No doubt about it. Because I made a commitment.
The no excuses coach has said that. You've heard this, guys. You've heard this.
Yes.
Online, not live, but this is recorded. We've had a fucking nightmare recording, but you have heard this, and I will be nagging you about it because I'm waiting to see it.
Yep, I have to get it done. I have to get it done.
Write a book.
Yeah, no, thank you for that support. I appreciate it. I have a few people that are pinging me like, Chris, where is it at? Where's it at? Because I originally made the commitment to have it done by the end of May, and then obviously the end of May is gone. So yeah, the recommitment is now. What?
Have you got a publisher?
No, I haven't even pitched it to anybody yet. No, I'm just trying to get it out of my brain, because when I get to 1997 or 1998, I started doing a brilliant thing. I started recording journals daily. So awesome. From 1998 until now, pretty much, I have my life documented. So I have a lot of the situations that happened to my mom, because things started going bad again later in life. You know, she started having problems, and I don't know if you want to talk about that, but
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, like I was saying before, you know, as far as the book goes and everything else, there came a point where we became friends. Like, she would call me and she goes, hey, I'm listening to this band. And all of a sudden at 50 years old, she got into heavy metal. It was crazy. She was always had an eclectic music background. That's where I get my music background from, is she liked all different kinds of stuff, Joan Baez, Moody Blues. And all of a sudden she started getting heavy metal. I'm like, and she's like, she would play me these excerpts from Ozzy Osbourne. I'm like, Mom, you're listening to Ozzy Osbourne?
You're talking about Ozzy Osbourne. Love him.
And I've been a huge metal fan since I was a little kid. I was always a little Hessian into AC/DC and Kiss. I still have my Kiss album, my double live album. I still have that. So yeah, anyway, so we started becoming friends. We started going to concerts. You know, she actually, to her credit, that motel that we were in, that was absolutely the shittiest place in the world, she was the last person there. Talk about determination. I learned a lot of great things from my mom as well. She was the last person there. They cut off the electricity, and she still had all those cats in the fucking room. I had to go rent a van in the middle of the night and go to that place. It was abandoned, literally, and I had to rescue her out of there. She got $7,000 because they took that land and made it. It's actually a freeway over it right now. So she got $7,000 with that. She smartly used that $7,000, went and bought a house out in Corona here in Southern California, bought a 4-bedroom. She always said, I want a 4-bedroom house with a pool. And to my mom's credit, through everything she had been through everything she had sacrificed, you know, for everything else, she got her 4-bedroom house with a pool. And she had it for, I don't know, I think 7 years. And then the cycle kind of started repeating itself. She wound up losing her job. She wound up, you know, going into this chaos mode. She spent every cent that she had. She spent her 401k. She thought everything was going to be fine and the world was going to open up for her, and it never did. So I wound up having her live in my garage for a few months with her cats. Had to put all of her stuff in storage. That was insane. I had to move her two-story house, a 4-bedroom, 2-story house, in less than probably 30 hours. And she had not packed. I thought she had packed. I thought she knew she was getting evicted. We did a short sale on it and got her a little bit of money. It was pure insanity. She lived in my garage with her cats. Then we wound up buying her a travel trailer. We wound up buying ourselves a travel trailer. So she lived in that for a while. And then she got lung cancer. And all my life, when I was a little kid, remember when it was Nancy Reagan was coming on, you know, drugs kill and everything, and smoking kills. And I used to go to my mom and I used to beg her, Mom, please quit smoking. She used to smoke inside the car with the windows rolled up, and I was in there. And she used to smoke. And I used to beg her all throughout life. I'm like, Mom, why don't you quit smoking? Now they have the Nicotrol things, you know, now they have, this is way back in the day. And she never did. Don't tell me what to do with my body. It's my fucking body. Mind your own business. She used to tell me that all the time, even as a kid. So she started having a problem with her hand. And then, that's what she was. She groomed the dog drunk, and her dog bit her, tore up her hand. She had to go to the hospital. She didn't want the hospital to do what they wanted to do. She said, just clean it out and just bandage it. It wound up getting infected. She wound up having to go back to the hospital more times. She wound up getting an infection in her leg that started off as a quarter that quickly grew. So ultimately, she wound up going to the hospital, found out she had arterial insufficiency to her right leg due to the atherosclerosis from smoking. So she had a carotid endarterectomy. She had a femoral bypass. She had all these different things to save her leg. That didn't work. She went back to smoking. She wound up having her leg amputated. I wound up having her put her in nursing homes and convalescent hospitals. I mean, dude, the story is just crazy. And ultimately, I got a phone call the day we moved into this house. I didn't tell my mom I was moving because she wanted to come live with us, and I just couldn't have her live with me. It was just it was not going to happen. So the day we moved into this house, we literally went to bed. We were going to bed at 1:30 in the morning. We were moving from our other house. We had friends coming at 6 o'clock in the morning to help us move. And I got a phone call from the nursing home at one. It was like one. No. It was 12:30. And they said, we don't think your mom's going to make it through the night. You should probably come. And so I hung up the phone. My wife, we were literally just getting ready to go to sleep, like in the bed, ready to put head on the pillow. And she's like, who is that? And I said, that's the nursing home. I said, they think my mom's going to pass tonight. And she goes, we need to go. And I said, hey, we got like 4 hours and all of our friends are going to show up here and we got to move. She's probably already gone, blah, blah, blah. To my wife's credit, she's all, fuck you, we're going to go. Because it was literally just up the street. It was probably 2 or 3 miles up the street.
Yeah.
So I got up and I made myself a Jack and Coke. And I said, well, if I'm going to go, see my mom pass away, I'm going to go with a Jack and Coke. And so we went up there and sure enough, I walked into the room and I was astonished to see what I saw. I actually, crazy enough, I'm kind of psychotic. I took pictures and I sat there with my mom and I sat there and I looked at her and I watched her and she did not look anything like my mom. She was frail as all hell. She was struggling to breathe. And I just sat there. I was like, wow, this journey is coming to an end. And it was crazy. It was, I get choked up when I think about it, but it was I sat there and we were never loving, we were never kissy, hugs every once in a while, but I started caressing her hair and I'm like, and I talked to her the same way. I didn't tell you this part of the story, but I held my mentor's hand, Bill White. The crazy part about that, to back up that story for a second, is after we got divorced, he was pretty crushed. He and I were like father and son. We really grew a great relationship. He had 2 sons of his own, but they were in different states. So we really grew to have a great relationship. I actually wound up working with his company for a while. And then ultimately we did get divorced and it sucked because he kind of felt like he had to be on his daughter's side. And there wasn't really sides, but we became distant. I would still check in with him every once in a while, still stayed in touch with the family. And then one day he called me up and he said, he goes, hey, Christopher, you still like Jack Daniels? I'm like, yeah, Bill, I do. And he's like, I'm having a party. And one time he had this amazing party when his wife went out of town. He invited all of his kids over. We had a massive time. We had ribs, we had drinks. We always talked about that party. Like, Bill, when are you going to throw a party again? And he never did. And then I get this phone call and it was years after we got divorced. I was like, wow. And I said, yeah, Bill. And he goes, yeah, I'm having a party. And so I was like, okay, cool. And the day of the party, he wound up, his colon ruptured and he wound up getting diverticulitis. He wound up getting rushed to the hospital where he sat in a coma for 21 days. And I went and visited him a few times and I had not done well with death up until that point. My grandfather had died. My grandmother had died. My mom didn't do a great job of explaining it to me. And so I didn't want anything to do with it. And so they said, well, we're going to take Bill off of, they call him Dad. We're going to take Dad off life support at 11 o'clock in the morning. And I said, I have a meeting. I can't be here. Motherfucker lived. So I got a phone call at 5 o'clock and they said, he's still alive. Are you going to come? And I'm like, yeah. Because I ultimately decided it wasn't about me. It was about him and it was about his family. So I drove to the hospital. I went there and I got to see a bunch of people I had not seen since the divorce. It was awkward. It was ugly, but I was there for him. And I went over and I said some things and literally he's got all of his kids. He's got his 3 daughters. He's got his 2 sons. He's got other family in the room. And yet I am the one by his bedside holding his hand while his wife is on the other side. And I'm like, Bill, I got this. I said, I will always be here for Beverly, Tammy, and Tiffany. I said, you can count on that. Wow. No matter what. Whenever they need me, I will always be here for them. It's okay for you to go. It's okay for you to go. I want you. I got this. And I just kept talking to him. I kept holding his hand. The respiratory thing started going down. Everything started going down. And he transitioned. And I just remember I started bawling and I turned to the corner of the room because I was so embarrassed. I was like, after it was like everything just hit me like, okay, I'm in a room with my ex-wife and my ex-family. What the fuck am I doing here? What's going on? This guy just died. Da da da. I have no alcohol. I have no drugs. This is fucking weird. Da da da. And I wound up saying some nice things to people, I think. And then I just drove to the beach and I sat down there. I'm like, fuck, what's this life for? This is crazy. So to put that in perspective, when I got to go to my mom as well, to get to see two of the most influential people in my life and my journey from very different aspects, from a positive aspect, from a constructive aspect. And my mom taught me about tenacity. She taught me about really the no excuses kind of thing. We did whatever we had to do to survive. And that's what I learned from her. So being that opportunity, I would say the same things to her. And actually my wife now, Barbara, said, Samantha, I'm here for Chris. We're a team now. I got him. We're okay. It's okay for you to transition. And then ultimately she did. And we went home, we got up the next day and we moved.
Jeez, dude. I mean, this. I gotta interview you on my other podcast because it's about grief and stuff, and we need to talk about that because you can teach so many people so many things, and I want to thank you for sharing that because that's a hard thing to share, and especially. And what I want to say to you, ladies and gentlemen that are listening to this. This is the reality. This is what a life coach is a coach who's had fucking life and seen it, been there, done it, bought the t-shirt and started the video. Do you know what I mean? There's a massive difference. So, I mean, you've got a book out, you've everything you've gone through. What's for you now? What's for you in the future? Where do you want to... Well, actually, let me rephrase that.
Sure.
Without being too weird about it, but I was going to say, how many people do you want to touch in the future? But that sounds really weird. So let's go with how many people, how do you see yourself being an influence to others in the future?
Massive worldwide impact. That I'm not stopping until I can get in front of every person in this world and sit there and say, hey, listen, number one, let's love ourselves. Over the course of the last year, I can tell you this, Jock, I've given away hundreds of complimentary coaching sessions. I call them complimentary now. I don't call them free, but just my way of helping people through COVID, just like everybody was just going bonkers. I'm like, I'll be here for you. I did these complimentary coaching sessions. Yeah. And after doing a few of them, I started seeing a pattern. And so I would actually stop people and I would say, okay, listen, I'm big into questions. I can ask you so many questions that will get you to a point where you feel stupid if you don't do something with your life. And so I asked this person one question. I said, listen, I don't want you to think about it. I want you to answer yes or no. And I'm going to ask you this question. I'm like, okay, do you love yourself? Yes or no? And I'm doing this on Zoom. I was shocked, Jock, at how many different Jock. I was shocked at all the different things that how many different people how many different people had a difficult time answering that question. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I mean, I get it. I totally understand it, but I did not think it was that pervasive that people were really struggling to love themselves, yet expecting to be loved. And, we both know that hurt people, and we both know what's going on in this world right now. I don't watch the news or follow politics. I just don't. I just can't stand it. My wife does. She's madly obsessed about it. So I hear what I need to hear. But I just sit there and I think about, if we start healing ourselves and we start looking inward, like you were saying before, the answers are within. And we start looking at empathy and forgiveness and love rather than fear, hatred, and resentment and all that other stuff. When am I going to get mine? If we all get off our collective ass, and we go get ours, but we start feeding ourselves first, then there's so much opportunity for us to help other people because there's going to be more abundance. There's not going to be scarcity, lack, and fear and all the other shit that's going on in the world. We can start to heal ourselves. And that's exactly what I did as I started healing myself. And I think that we all have that capacity to do that.
I always say the greatest gift that you can give the world is the gift of service. And people have got too much in their minds about, I've got to earn this or I've got to get this. And it's about me, about what I can get, but not about what I can give. And you, oh my God, you were back. And you seem to be all about what you can give rather than what you can get. So that is the big basis of your success is what you can achieve and how many hearts and minds that you can touch in the world.
Absolutely. That's my legacy.
Your story is very unusual, Chris, and I will round it off because I want to try and get this together, but we definitely got to chat again and hopefully we'll have a much better connection. You're all about service. You're not about what you can get out of people. You're all about service. And that to me is outstanding. That you you think about serving first before anything. And I think that's a great thing that you hear Rich Litvin and Steve talk about as well. It's all about service, you know. So you're as far as I'm aware, you've got another speaking engagement coming up. You're going to be speaking at an event for men.
Yeah. Actually, I just got picked up to speak for a men's summit retreat in Cancun, Mexico. Tentative dates are somewhere in October. I can't remember them off the top of my head. And then I'll be doing another speaking engagement in Scottsdale, Arizona in September as well. So yeah, now that things are opening up, yeah, I love seeing people. I love being able to engage with people. Me as a speaker, I like to go out and get in the audience and discover and have conversations beforehand. And that way, when I'm talking to people in the audience, I can say, so what are some things that are rubbing you wrong right now? What are some challenges in your life? And then I can customize what I say on stage to address some of those main concerns with the audience.
That's brilliant. So what
about
you? Huh?
It's just connecting. It's just connecting and serving. Like you said, if you make it a mission in your life to make other people happy, then chances are you're going to be happy as well. I mean, I'm on the board of directors also for Help Heal Humanity. It's an amazing organization. I'm the vice president of communications on there. So impacting the world, again, just using my voice and using my passions to make a difference. I mean, I wake up every single day. And the first thing I do before my eyes open is I say what I'm grateful for, because I know that gratitude has massive impact in our lives. Often we bitch, piss, and moan about what we don't have. And if you can't be happy with what you have, you're not going to be happy with any other shit. Like we said before, it goes back. I think the central theme is it goes back to what's inside. Yeah. So before my eyes open, Jock, I sit there and I say, I'm thankful. I'm thankful I woke up today. I'm thankful for my bed. I'm thankful for the people that made my bed. I'm thankful for air conditioning. I'm thankful for what I just say what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful for another opportunity to breathe again. And I'm thankful for my son, whatever it might be. And then the next thing I do before I open my eyes is I say what my intentions are for that day. So my intentions today are to be playful and present with my son. My intention today is to impact the world. My intention today is to be a great husband and father. My intention today is to move the needle on X project. So before I even get out of bed, I've already set the tone for what the day is going to be. And so many people miss that step. They wake up and the first thing they say is, oh shit. What's it going to be like today? There's going to be traffic. There's going to be a bunch of bullshit at work. I'm going to have to deal with this. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do this. I tell people, you don't have to do anything. You get to do stuff. You don't have to do anything. You get to do stuff.
It's interesting. When I was in the army, the first thing you get taught about is the minute you open your eyes, you're up, boom, going, and you get everything ready, and your bed's done, and you're cleaning your web, whatever it is. And then the more that I started to develop spiritually, the more I started to think, slow down. I want to slow down. And so what I started to do was, I don't open my eyes until I've heard nature. And I don't mean a car. Until I've heard a bird tweet or something, I've heard nature in some way, is when I open my eyes. Because if I'm mindful of that practice, if I'm mindful of that presence, that energy alone just brings me into the right frame of mind, the right mindset. Too many people don't do that. Too many people get up and they're ready, or the first thing they think about is exactly as you said, oh shit, or what am I going to do, or how am I going to earn? How have I got? I'm late. I've got to get this done. I've got that done. Whereas I don't move until I've heard nature, and then the next thing I do is I pray.
Nice.
That's in my own way, not any kind of prayers or anything, just in my own way. Then I'll start to move. Then I'll start to get up. Then I'll start to do things. So you have everybody. We all start to develop our own little routines and our own little things that help us get ready. Now you've also got another routine that I want to jump into, which I don't know nothing about, but I hear it getting bandied about. 75 hard. What the fuck is that?
75 hard, baby. Today is day number what? Let me just make sure, because sometimes I forget. Today is day 24 of 75 hard.
Day 24.
Day 24 of 75 hard. So 75 hard is a program I've done once before, back in September of 2019. Interestingly enough, 2019 was a very pivotal and transformational year for me. And that's something we should also aspire to have, a transformational year. It's a moment so many people don't want to change. But 75 hard is essentially 2 workouts a day. One of them has to be outside, and they're both 45 minutes each. You follow a healthy diet, no cheat meals, no sugar. For me, no sugar, no booze, no gluten, no wheat. I can have natural sugars like in fruit and stuff like that, as long as I don't eat a whole case of strawberries, have my blood sugar spike. So it's healthy eating, no booze, no sugar, and I love my booze. It's 10 pages reading of a personal development book, or a book that grows you in some way. So you can read the Bible, you can read whatever it is that grows you. 10 pages, you can't listen to it, you have to read it. A daily progress picture, and I think that's it. Oh, and a gallon of water a day. And I don't say a gallon. I mean, the rules say a gallon, but if somebody's 100 pounds, I don't want them drinking a gallon of water a day. So I tell them half their body weight in ounces, which is one of the usual recommended situations for water. What surprises me about that also, in those complimentary coaching calls that I told you about before, I was shocked as well as I talked to me about your personal care system. How much water do you drink a day? And overwhelmingly, probably 75%. Oh, I don't drink water. I don't drink enough water. I don't. I'm like, do you realize how much your body is water? Do you realize how much your body is water? Yeah. I mean, I drink, these are 32 ounces. I drink 4 to 6 of them a day. That's well over a gallon of water. Guess what? My skin looks great. I feel great, you know? So it's just amazing what people's personal healthcare situation is, and they expect all these amazing results when they put shit in their body. So yeah, so today is day 24 of that. I'm leading a group on Facebook called the 75 Hard Unstoppables. It's a crazy group. It's people that probably shouldn't be doing this, to be quite honest. They should have probably went and saw a doctor. I made sure I claimed very, very clearly that I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. You do this at your own risk. But people have gotten to the point, they follow me for so long. Like, Chris, I've just reached that point where I don't want to be stuck anymore. I don't want to be myself.
Amazing.
And I'm doing it free. It's a private group. I'm not letting any other people come in and like see what's going on. It's only for the people that are doing it. And it's crazy because what it teaches you is that even for me, in the last year, I've not worked out. And normally I'm in great shape. Normally I, could take my shirt off and everything. And I did not work out really much for the last year. I did a lot of walking, but I lost a lot of muscle mass. And all of a sudden I started realizing and looking ahead at my journey and realizing, who do I need to become now in order to achieve what it is I want to achieve in the future? So now that things are opening up, now that I don't have a corporate career, I can do more speaking, I can do more traveling, I could do more books, I could do consulting for organizations on leadership, I can mentor more kids, I could do more with Help Heal Humanity. So I can continue to do that. So who do I need to become now in order to handle all that responsibility? And trust me, summertime here in Southern California, I have a pool, so I love to drink beer, I love to go swimming, I love to have parties, I love to drink Jack Daniels, I love to eat pizza. Summertime for me is kind of like, let's get the dad bod going on. I'm still working out and everything, but summertime is like my time to chill. And I realized, the excuse that I was giving myself, I'm like, I'll probably do 75 hard maybe in September. I'm like, no, you should do it in summertime. And I was asking, I had this conversation with myself because I coach myself. And I sit there and I said, because I'm always my own best coaching client. I'm like, why don't you want to do it in summertime, Chris? Oh, because it's going to be an inconvenience. You're going to have to go without and everything else. And I just made that instantaneous choice, which we all can do, instantaneous choice. I said, I'm going to do it June 1st. People said, how do you do it? I'm like, that's what I did in 2019. I literally knew about the program for 6 months. I'd heard about it. I knew the guy that created it. I don't know him personally, but I listened to him and I was like, that's too much. I don't want to do that. I like balance in my life. I don't want to fucking go hard charging. I don't want to be David Goggins or anything. But that's the exact reason why I did it. I was talking about it on a Sunday and then I just said, I'm going to do it tomorrow. And that's the first time I did it. And I did it while I had a corporate job. I sometimes would do my walks because one of them the workouts have to be outside. So if your day goes crazy and you get to the end of the day, if you miss one thing, you start over. So like if I miss one thing today, I start over on day 1. Wow. So I made it a point to become a very proactive person, to get my workouts done in the day, make sure I got everything done in the day so I didn't have to wait until the end to be reactionary, which is what so many of us do in our life. So I knew that I needed to do 75 hard again to get proactive so that I could rise and be again to that next level of what it is that I want to accomplish. Right now, I'm impacting thousands of people. I want to impact hundreds of thousands of people next. Then I want to impact millions of people. So who do I need to be today? What investments do I need to make in myself physically, mentally, spiritually to become that person? And so I decided to do 75 hard. And at the same time, I put it out there. I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this. And some people said they were kind of interested. I'm like, all right. And I thought about charging for it. I'm like, you know what? I just want to do something out of the goodness of my heart again. If people want to, come out of COVID and really shed this, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be real and raw with people like, hey, listen, we're going to do this. And so these people are in there, they're doing it. One guy quit smoking.
Freaking awesome.
He started 75 hard. He's 60. I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually how old he is. He might shoot me because I'm sure he's going to watch this. But he's an older dude. He's older than me. I know that. And he quit smoking. Another lady, she hasn't been walking or doing anything. She's walking. She's inspired people in her neighborhood. Somebody bought her a pair of shoes to help her out. These people are doing it. One guy quit drinking. He's been an alcoholic. I've had so many different conversations with him.
That's
he's
amazing.
doing amazing. And it's just, and I got dinged from some people like, you shouldn't be doing that. If these people hurt themselves and I'm like, I've already told him like 100
That's
times, like,
inspiring
I'm not,
itself. I used to have, I used to run a dojo back in Scotland, and I had an old guy that came in who wanted to train with us, and he was 78 years old, and he came in and he was like, "Can I come and do this?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he wanted, and long story short, he wanted to come and do it because his son got mugged and got taken out and ended up in a wheelchair kind of thing. But he said, I even though he's in a wheelchair, I want to protect my family. I'm 78. Can I do this? Man, that dude was probably the best student I ever had.
Why do you suppose?
Led him. His soul led him, and he didn't let anything. If he couldn't do a technique or he couldn't do something, he understood that he just had to persevere and just do it in the way that he can do it. I never asked him to lift his legs high or anything or do anything like that. He just had to do his thing. And I think you're never too late to start anything. And saying that, I've got my own thing going. It's called 50 soft. And that's my... But maybe I need to change that to 75 hard, dude, and get on the grid.
you need the no excuses coach. You need the no excuses coach. We'll get to that.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, listen, Chris, I have really enjoyed this. Amongst all the other things that before we leave, I want you to leave people with one thought that thought that comes from Chris Rausch that can change their mind and that can change their mindset in a moment. What is it?
I'll actually let you say it, but you're gonna have to read it. Okay.
All right.
I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that?
What doesn't kill me will make me stronger. There you have it from the No Excuses coach. Guys, listen to Chris. Reach out with him on Instagram. Get to his website, chrisrausch.com. I hope to God Almighty that this interview, as awesome as it is, actually, with all the problems that we've had, does come together. I'm praying that Massey gets it together. And you know what? If it done, we'll freaking do it again and make sure that we just do it the right way and that we don't have any interruptions. And we'll make sure that we test everything and make sure it's running. Chris, I thoroughly freaking enjoyed this, dude. It's been awesome to meet you. You are an inspiration to young people, to old people, to everybody that you touch. I'm thrilled to... I don't interview a lot of people, but when I see someone has something to say and something to teach, and that their words can turn people's hearts and minds around, that's who I want to get with. That's who I want to talk to, and I want to thank you for spending so much time with me today. It's awesome. And cameras and everything else. You've been an inspiration, and I'm humbled that you're on. Your story's absolutely amazing. I can't wait for the book. I am going to nag you, and if you ever need help in trying to put a proposal together, then give me a shout, because I've done shitloads of those.
You can count on it. You can count on it, definitely. Thank you, man.
My books have been published with Simon & Schuster and what have you, so... I will send you one. You can choose one of my books and I'll send one to you, and then you have got to send me yours so that I can read it and I can promote it. Guys, reach out to Chris. He's an awesome guy, and he's a rocker. He's a heavy metal guy. He's a guy that loves his beer, but his words can change your life. So go and connect. God bless.